So what's the real truth in what the British press calls the bizarre case of the British gun runner, the Indian rebels and the missing Dane? To know that, we must piece together different parts of this jigsaw puzzle and also question the role of the Anand Margi, the shadowy cult group that has been at war for a long time, in fact for decades, with the left in Bengal. Were they being used potentially by people in Delhi and in London with similar anti-left ideologies?
Well, you see, for 15 years, I worked with development work in Africa, in Central America, and especially in India. I've worked with the Catholic Church, I've worked with Ananda Marga, I've worked with Greenpeace, with different organizations through these 15 years. The project in Purulia was a reference project for all NGOs around the world that I worked with. Everybody referred to the development project of Purulia as the light and the way to do things, to develop grassroots up with local resources, with local people. So this project caught the imagination of not only me, but thousands around the world. And when we continuously got these reports of people, even an Australian woman who was almost killed by the communist gundas, her name was Patricia. When we saw our volunteers ending up, like you see on these pictures here, butchered by the communists. This made an enormous impression. You must remember that I, as a young 19-year-old, came to Kolkata for the first time, coming from one of the most affluent corners of the world. And I saw the suffering in Calcutta, and it moved my heart to do something. I had to work tirelessly for 15 years to better.
But there's a bigger global angle in this conspiracy too. What was the role of the British government? How did the British intelligence get involved in a plot to create unrest within India? And did they, and if so, why did they, commission Peter Bleach in this sinister plot? Were you working for the British government? I'm asking you again. I mean, you know it very well. You know that all of this could not have been possible. Pardon my, hasty conclusion on this one.
No, I missed the first couple of words.
My point is that, Peter, a large part of what you're saying is probably, makes sense. You can connect the dots. But the one dot I cannot connect is how could you have been in all of this? You could have been double-crossed by the British. You could have been double-crossed by a lot of people, including Kim Davy, of course. You could have landed yourself in a situation you hadn't planned. But then my question to you is you could not have got into the situation unless you had the blessings of the British intelligence and the British government, unless you were working for them, not in an independent capacity.
Yes, that's perfectly correct, and that's a reasonable assumption. In the defence trade is a difficult business because there is an illegal aspect to that as well. There are people out there who will sell weapons to anybody. So you have to be careful. If you're in the legitimate arms trade, you worked very, very closely with the government. And presumably, if you're American, you work closely with the American government. If you're Indian, you will work closely with the Indian government. In my case, yes, I worked very closely with the British government. I was not employed by the British government.
Yes, that means you were working with the British government, for the British government. You were not an employee of the British government, but you were part of this arms drop as part of a well thought out operation in which the British government was involved, right?
That is absolutely correct.
What has the British government got to hide here?
I don't know, because you see, it's dangerous to speculate, but sometimes you have to speculate a little bit, otherwise you'll get no further. There's a certain amount of facts here that we know. And the key thing that we know is that there was a huge effort to cover up what happened here. I was kept in jail to cover up the facts. That's the real reason.
The expose on Times Now has so far only skimmed the surface of the greatest internal security secret in post-independent India. Will we know the complete truth from here? Or will there now be a second cover-up? The jury is out on this one. But the issue and the controversy is certainly back in the public eye. And we will have more on this developing story in coming days on Times Now.